Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the USA International Speedway for tonight's presentation of the NHR 100 for the Upstate Racing League Coaches Corner Pro Late Model Series. My name's Kelly Dahl. Along with me is Roger Muth, and getting you the picture as always is KR Stolfus. Now, this week we're gonna have a very similar race to the one we had last week, where it's gonna be more about the drivers combating the track than it is gonna be them taking on each other. From what we've heard from the drivers so far, Roger, they've said that it's gonna be very difficult to pass, but I think there will be still some opportunities out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, this track is going to present itself to be, a track in the later stages that we might be seeing some side by side, battles for position. But I also did hear from the drivers, as long as you're as yourself, that track position here in the early going is going to be crucial. So having a good qualifying attempt here tonight is probably what you want to have. You don't want to have to, go to your last chance qualifier and work your way through the field for the main feature tonight.
And that's what I think might switch up these standings just a little bit, because we've seen our top ranked drivers. Then a lot of the times they're starting towards the back and kind of the midfield, because they say that they're not really a fast qualifiers. They're more out there for the long haul. They're more consistent, but they just don't have that one lap speed. And with a track like this, that might handcuff them a little. But I don't know for entirely, because we've also been hearing from Matt Cucker that he said that he loves this track and he's been looking forward to this one. But at the moment, he's sitting, I think, seventh in the practice standings, and so if he doesn't get that good qualifying time, or if he makes a mistake in qualifying, which can happen, and we'll also have to worry about the dynamic skies now. So if he gets a hot track while some of the others get a nice cool track, he might suddenly find himself towards the back and in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, another guy who we talked to quite a bit, who had a good finish last week, number 20, Justin McDuff. We talked to him quite a few times early on this year, and he also has a trouble with qualifying. So he's going to be looking to have a great run here as he's sitting fifth on the board. So that's a good starting spot if that's where he's going to end up qualifying. But a guy who we also talked to early on was the 96 of Al Smith. Al Smith said this is not one of his favorite tracks, and, well, he said he might struggle to even make the field here tonight. He's sitting 15th on the board, so he's 20 or 5 positions up if that's where he qualifies to make the field, but he has a chance to not tonight.
Yeah, he said that he himself that it's going to be a struggle for him. This is not his kind of track, and it is a bit of a bigger track when we talk about this series. It's a 3/4 of a mile, but it's still quite flat. So it's not really banked like you would see at when we were racing at Iowa. So pretty much there's only going to be one line around here, and that's going to be the bottom line. I think even if the track does heat up, we're not really going to see that outside line kind of really kick in. Everything's going to be rubbered in the bottom, and that's basically going to be the place to be in the corners.
And talking about the corners, off turn 4, I've been watching a couple of these guys. They try and really pinch it down coming off turn 4, and a lot of them are getting that left front tire right on the line or right on the apron, and it's kind of getting the car a little out of whack coming off the corner. So we're going to have to watch that tonight to see if anybody gets down on the apron, gets a little loose, and slides up coming off 4, possibly finding the outside wall, because you don't want to have that happen here. The straightaways are longer, like you said, than we normally see for these short track guys, and we're going to have to see how that plays havoc. Also looking at the track temp here once again tonight, up over 100 degrees. I believe the last 2 races that we've had here with the Upstate Racing League, track temps we've seen as high as, I believe it was 135 at one point. Right now it's sitting at 106. So watch for that to maybe climb to the race and make things a little more slicker.
I'm not quite finding. I'm trying to find some banking here. There it is. 14 degrees is the banking in the corner. So it's not a huge amount, but it is noticeable. So when you are in the corners and you kind of clip that apron, it can still upset the balance of the car, especially if you only get maybe 1 or 2 tires down there. It can definitely free up the car, and if you do it right on some of these tracks, that's the way you want to get around the corner, is to just dip a couple of tires down there, allow the difference in banking to kind of hook your car and help you through the corners. But there are some points where if you clip that just wrong, or you're not prepared for it, it can throw off the balance of the car and just send you spinning.
Right now, out on track with practice, Matt Cucker's still going to be, or actually I shouldn't say still, he just did take over that number 1 spot here in practice. Jake Watson second, Sean Cool sits in that 3rd spot. So you got 3 fast guys sitting right now in your top 3 in practice.
Yeah, and I think with the track cooled off quite a bit. When we first got into the race session, we were commenting about the fact that the track was over 125 degrees Fahrenheit, and then while they're stopped for their drivers meeting, that allows the track to cool off a little bit because there's no cars running around it, and then a cloud rolled over and just allowed this track to completely cool off. So I think that's why Cucker was able to set down such a fast lap time. But like we said last week, he told us that this is one of his favorite tracks, and I think there's even something here in the race chatter that he was talking about him loving this track.
Yeah, Matt right now does sit on top of the practice charts. He also sits on top of your point standings. We'll get to that a little bit later to talk about that. So he's looking to have another great week as he finished in the top there last week, actually finishing second place. He's one of those competitors out here that week in and week out, he comes to compete and he definitely makes his presence known.
Yeah, Matt Cucker is the defending champion and was able to run quite well last week, but wasn't quite able to get the win at Five Flags. The winner actually ended up being Chris Stump, but if you missed that race, we've got a recap for you right here. So take a look at what you missed, and maybe you'll see something similar for what we have in store tonight. Good evening, Sim Racing fans, and welcome to Five Flags Speedway for the Snowflake 100, presented by Hansen's Starter Shop for the Upstate Racing League Coaches Corner Pro Late Model Series.
Because the green flag is out, we're racing here from the Five Flags Raceway.
So Brad Carpenter going to have a open track around him, but Matt Cucker can't move down just yet as Guillaume now has moved to his inside.
As there's a dive to the inside, contact between the 13 and the 31. That's going to send the 31 of Carpenter up the track. Now Guillaume Foran's going to take over.
Now we're going to see if the inside line is still better than the outside line. As we've seen a lot of temperature built up on that inside, so there may be a little bit of grip for the 70 to work with, but everyone's been running the inside for so long. There's a lot of rubber that's been thrown up there, a lot of loose marbles, so that's going to affect the 70 just a little bit, as he's still holding on though, not quite cleared by that 13 machine.
The 30 of Will Dravicki is going to get into the back of the 9 machine. The 9's going to overcorrect. And then, oh man, he gets into that outside wall very hard.
Yeah, it looks like the pace car is going to dive in this time. The 13's back to the loud pedal. We're back to racing here from Five Flags. The 13 of G-Man is going to get one heck of a start. Now it looks like the battle, though, is going to be for the second position between the number 70 of Canova and Chris Stump. Chris Stump's going to go to the inside. He's going to clear him coming off turn 2.
Look to the inside, is going to be able to make the move. Guillaume is going to give him room. He doesn't shut the door, and I think actually him making that late move caused Guillaume to stutter going into the
Even number 98 of Chris Stump out front, kind of pulling maybe away just a tad there on the 69 to 69, holding Justin McDuff at bay right now. So those 3 cars, and then you got a little bit of a gap back to Sean Cool still.
just has to get through 2 more corners, through turns 3 and 4 right now. Gonna keep it clean. So your winner of the Snowflake 100, presented by the Hanson Starter Shop, 98 of Chris Stump.
Figured when that caution came out, lap 50, it was time to go, and just waited for the moment, and just tried to not work the right front too much by pressing the issue too soon, and a hole opened up and jumped in there.
Just trying to find the holes when they opened, and luckily we were able to, especially on that restart there. I think we went from 5th to 2nd, was it, or 3rd, and that's what it was.
When we got going there in that first run, I really didn't want to see that yellow. I was like, man, because I started to come to life there. I saved the right front, and I didn't have a lot of heat in it, and I was starting to really be able to roll in on these guys and drive underneath them. And I honestly thought I was going to be able to drive right up there to the lead.
Now I'll tell you what, another great race by the Upstate Racing League Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to USA Speedway, here tonight for the Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series as they present the NHR 100. And right now, on top of your speed charts is Matt Cucker in the 69, followed by Jake Watson, Sean Cool, that is sweet stuff himself, in the 24 machine, making the top 3 fastest practice times we've had. Coming up next is qualifying, and don't forget, guys, next Thursday, December 20th at 7:40 p.m. Upstate Racing League Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series will be doing the Coach's Corner 100 at Lucas Oil Raceway. Make sure you tune in right here to MaxSpeedTV for that. And just before that, Wednesday, December 19th at 8:15 p.m. Central, the RFC Hershey Design Pro Series will be doing the North Carolina Troopers Association 125. And with that being said, I'm done talking. I'm going to let Kelly and Roger take you through the rest of this race.
Well, we're going to take a look at our point standings here before we get go into the qualifying session. So your Arts Barbershop standings are, in first place at the moment is Matt Cucker, then Justin McDuff, and then Chris Stump. Those are your 3 race winners so far. Actually, sorry, there's another race winner, which is Jake Watson, who's currently sitting outside the top 10. But your top 3 are Matt Cucker, Justin McDuff, Chris Stump, then followed by AJ Hamill, Stefan Marinac, Blake Neer, Sean Cool, Brian Rogers Jr., Al Smith, and Dylan Canova. So that top 10 is currently our kind of provisional chase grid at the moment, but we still have about half of the regular season to go. So those standings are definitely subject to change.
Yeah, that's your top 10 that are kind of locked in right now, but right outside the top 10, Jake Watson there in 11th, Rex Hoyle in 12th, Andy Lambert 13th in points, Danny Dubuque right there in 14th, Will DeVicki 15th, James McIntyre Jr. there 16th, Brian Hacker 17th in points, Brad Carpenter 18th, Paul Henley in 19th, and Guillaume Fortin right there in your 20th position. That's going to round out your top 20 in the Arts Barbershop point standings.
And we still have a few more as well. Jeremy Carpenter sitting at 21st, Wayne McDuff in 22nd, John Minyaka 23rd, Douglas Wysocki's 24th in the standings, Josh Mayu, Brett Bartels, Jeremy Watkins, Alex Oriens, Thomas Mateer, Mike Holtzclaw, AJ Childs, Matt Roll, and then Jay Dubuque. That kind of rounds out your 33 pretty much all-timers here, or full-time drivers, I should say. And as we go through that, I think we're getting close to moving on to qualifying here. So before we shift over to the qualifying session, do you have any predictions, Roger? Who do you think is going to take the pole position for this race?
Well, I'm not good at predictions out here because every time I seem to pick somebody, it doesn't turn out well. So I'm going to actually end up picking the 24 of Sean Cool. I mean, he's sitting third right there on the speed charts, we know he's going to go out late here in qualifying, but if he can lay down a lap that he has right now, being the best of 21.674, he's going to have a shot there at the pole. Maybe he can back up that practice time and sneak one out here.
Well, I think I'm going to go with the choice that's kind of on top of the practice standings right now, and I believe the point standings as well. And that is Matt Cucker, who we've said many times. This is one of a track that he believes he's good at, and his practice times definitely show that. But it is definitely hard to kind of predict qualifying, especially with the qualifying format that this group does. And as we're going to get ready here, we'll kind of talk you through, if you haven't seen the Upstate Racing League before, this is how they do qualifying. They do basically a group qualifying. So they will call out about 3 or 4 cars to come down to the end of pit road, and then they will send that group of cars onto the track to do their 2 laps. So it's not single car, but it's also not open track. So because you're not having everyone kind of qualifying in their own session at the same time, it's going to be a bit different, especially with the dynamic weather. You will have different cloud cover for different groups. So a group may get out there and it's really hot and sunny, and then a cloud may roll over. The next couple groups might have better chances. But we'll be locking in 20 cars from this qualifying session, and then we'll be going to a heat where the last group of any of the drivers that did not get into the feature from qualifying will be racing for those final 6 spots. But just before we move on to qualifying, we're going to take a quick break and quick step aside, and when we return, we will be showing you all of the live qualifying from the Upstate Racing League Coaches Corner Pro Late Model Series.
This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coaches Corner Pro Late Model Series is brought to you by Coaches Corner, there's no place like home, Airborne Graphics, Arts Barbershop, White Knuckle Clothing, Best Colorful Creations, and Brian Rogers Motorsports, proud sponsor of the Brian Rogers Motorsports Rookie of the Year. This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coaches Corner Pro Late Model Series on MaxSpeedTV is brought to you by Rumar Vinyl Designs. Let us get stuck on you. Lightning Strikes Pro Shop and Hanson's Starter Shop.
Welcome back to USA International Speedway, where we are getting underway for qualifying at the moment. We've got the 65 of Jay Dubuque out on track, as well as the 90 of Matt Roll, the 89 machine as well as out there of Thomas Mateer and Mike Holtzclaw, who has just put down the fastest lap of this group with a 22.227. Matt Roll put down a 22.236. Mateer got himself a 22.277, and Jay Dubuque with a 22.422. So Dubuque having to improve on that second lap, and if he does not actually improve on that second lap, so if this is the kind of the way things are going, this may actually spell some trouble for Dubuque if these other drivers already have 2/10 on them.
Yeah, Dubuque not having the qualifying attempt he wanted there. He's going to need some help from the rest of his competitors here, and hope that the track temp does rise here and lets these guys slip and slide around a little bit. But it looks like we're getting our next group of qualifying guys out here on track. Looks like the 34 Jeremy Watkins is going to be in this group. Sorry about that. Looks like the 42 of Brett Partel is also going to be in this group. 81 here of James McIntyre Jr. is going to also be out here on track in this group.
Getting our next set of cars out on track right now. We're going to take a look at Jeremy Watkins as he goes around. Watkins is currently sitting in the points standings outside. He's currently outside of the top 10, so he is trying to get himself into that chase position before the end of the season, but he is sitting a little ways back, about 83 points back of that cutoff line. So if he can get started on a good race to round out the back half of this regular season, he might be able to still make a chance to get himself into that chase. But really it all starts with tonight, and as we've talked about, it starts with the qualifying here, and We'll have to see what time he is going to produce. We've got our first couple drivers putting in a time, and Watkins is going to put down a time of 22.361. Josh Mayu with getting our first guy down to the zeros there, 22.006, and Brett Bartel is putting the 22.068. So a couple of very fast times out there, and I'm sure we're going to see those times drop even further as we move along through this group, and got to wonder who's going to break that 21-second mark.
Yeah, 7 qualifying attempts now in the books here, with Josh Mayu going to be your quickest one so far, but I'm sure that might change here in just a little bit, as our next group that should come out on track next is going to involve the 41 of AJ Childs. Looks like the 45, Doug Wysocki, one of those Brian Rogers Rookie of the Year candidates, still running his Toys for Tots paint scheme from last week. The 1 also of Jeremy Carpenter is going to come out here in this group.
That's going to round out this next group of drivers. So Doug Wysocki going to be leading this group off of pit road. So keep an eye on that 45 machine. We'll have to see what time he's going to be able to put down here. And how this series also runs is they run kind of a handicap system. The drivers that have, it's I believe over a 3-week average, so the drivers that have had the poor results over the last 3 weeks will be starting earlier on in the qualifying. So we won't be seeing drivers like Cucker or McDuff until later on, because they've been doing pretty well recently. So usually that means we kind of see the times drop a little bit, but it also means those guys that are coming out later sometimes have to deal with a slightly warmer track of the other drivers, since the other drivers have been going around and heating it up a little bit. But Doug Wysocki actually not putting down a very good time with a 22.6. Looks like AJ Childs, though, putting down a decent time with 22.130, and Jeremy Carpenter as well, putting down a 22.058. None of them, though, can quite reach Josh Mayu with that 0.006.
Josh Mayu holding on for now, but these guys still have another lap here to get in the books. Jeremy Carpenter's still trying. Looks like he might have slipped going, though, into turn 3 and 4. He gives up the track just a little bit. Let's see if he can better his time here on his last lap. Doesn't look like he's going to better his time, as he goes with a 22.37 on that last lap, so he did not beat a 22.058 that he put out there. Josh Mayu's going to retain that P1 position here so far through qualifying. Now we have 10 cars on the in the books here from the USA International Speedway.
So our next set of drivers to take the track is going to be the 77 of Andy Lambert, the 70 of Dylan Canova, the 13 machine of Guillaume Fortin, and the 30 of Will Dravicki. So watch for Guillaume. I'd say that he is definitely the driver to watch out of this group. He's had a pole position earlier on in this season, and I think the only reason why he's so far down in the standings is just because of some network connection issues that he's had, because he did get that one pole and then he was leading the race, but then ended up lagging out of the server. So Guillaume is definitely a fast driver and definitely one to watch.
Yeah, Guillaume did have a network connection one week, and I believe he actually might have missed the first week of the season with being, not sure, was he the one on the honeymoon?
No. Guillaume has showed up for every race.
Oh, well, my mistake. My information a little wrong over here, but that does tend to happen.
Oh, Andy Lambert having a couple of problems going through turn 4, and that's going to definitely hamper his time as he puts down a 22.488. Will Dravicki, though, a new fast time, moves himself up to the top of the board with a 22.005, beating out Josh Mayu by 1/1000th of a second, and then Dylan Canova as well having a decent time with a 22.021. So these times are getting quicker, and we have got, I think, about 5 drivers now within a 1/10 of a second. Well, this group is going to call it quits there as the last driver rolls across the line. So move Will Dravicki up into that hot seat. He's the new temporary pole sitter for the time being, and that was definitely a very good lap time from that 30 machine.
Will Dravicki, one of those also Rookie of the Year candidates out here for the Upstate guys, having a great lap there. Your next group looks like it's going to be the 16. Paul Henley's going to be in this group. Number 3, John Mignacca also going to be in this group. Let's see who else is coming out here on track for this one. I believe the 61 of Danny Dubuque's also going to be a part of this group, but I believe that's the only 3 here.
I think Steph Marinac is also slated to come out with these guys. It's showing that they did call his number, but it's a little bit of issues we've been having with these the number of drivers here, with the number of different sessions going on here. So we'll have to see if Marinac does come out to take a lap time. He may be actually experiencing some technical issues, so they may place him at the end and allow him to take a lap after everyone else is finished. So for the time being, though, we still are watching Paul Henley, though, see if he can set a good lap time, try to take on that fast time that Javicki put down.
Yeah, Paul Henley out there. Looks like this is going to be coming off turn 4 to put in his first lap here. Let's see where he slots in on the board.
22.069, not too bad from Henley, and he actually had a bit of a wobble through turn 4 that I saw. So Henley nearly put him, probably would have had a chance to take on Javicki if he hadn't made that slight mistake. Taking a look at some of the other times that were put down, though, Danny Dubuque put down a 22.367. And the 3 of John Mignacca with a 22.162, and Henley actually improves his time on that second lap. It's not too often we see that in the qualifying here for these guys, as he moves himself up to a 22.025. That's good enough for 4th for the time being.
So Paul Henley being the quick time here in this group. John Mignacca had a good lap going there, but he came off turn 2 and put it in the wall, so he had to shut her down. He knew he wasn't going to go any faster. Your next group out here for qualifying going to be the 12 of Brian Rogers, the 11 of Brian Hacker. The 31 here is also scheduled to come out. That's Brad Carpenter.
So they just got waved out on the track, and take a look and see who's going to be able to take the next lap, the next fast lap time, as we go on board with that number 12 Pepsi machine with Brian Rogers, and take a look at how he handles this qualifying attempt. He goes way high through turns 3 and then dives it down on turn 4 to get that the highest amount of speed as he can to when he hits that line, because really every moment matters when it comes out of qualifying. From the moment you come out of pit lane, you're basically setting yourself up. You have to keep in mind that what you do on that outlap does affect your speed for that next lap. But now we're going to take a look, see where everyone lands. Brian Hacker moves himself up now into the pole position. Brian Rogers coming across the line. So Rogers goes with a 22.049, but as I was mentioning, Hacker has now taken over that pole position with a 21.981. So Brian Hacker finally the first one to get under 22 seconds. As well as the 31 was also out on track, Brad Carpenter, that he will come in with a 22.260.
Brian Hacker out here laying down the new quick time, so he's going to slot himself into that last pit stall there and park it, see if he can hold on to that, because we still got some fast guys coming up here in qualifying. I believe actually we have quite a few fast guys in your next group. I believe the 88 here of Jake Watson's going to be in this group, along with the 96 of Al Smith, and I think the 91. I'm not sure if I have him on my charts anywhere.
I think that's Jason that's a name, Jason McClatchy. I will most likely be corrected on that at some point, but that's the name I'm going to stick with for now. I don't think he's I think he's shown up to one race before the season, so we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do with the 91 and the 88 as well.
Yeah, I don't have him locked in right now, but Jake Watson's still sitting on pit road waiting for the OK to go out there. Jake Watson now rolling here. He does have a win this season with the Upstate Racing League. He pulls that 88 machine out onto track, seeing if he can better himself here from practice and take over that top spot away from Brian Hacker. He's going to have to hope for one fast lap, as you see him also utilizing that strategy of going up high there in turn 3 and 4, trying to get as much momentum built up into the 88 as he takes the green flag for his first qualifying attempt.
Oh, big slide. Yeah, that's a problem for the 88, who won the 3rd race of the season at Southern National, but he's the only race winner currently sitting outside of the chase, sitting in 11th place right now, but he's only a few points back. He's just 10 points behind Dylan Canova, so if he can get 10 more points here and with over the next few races, he has a chance to get himself into the chase. But gonna have to improve that lap time, as that was a 22.694.
Yeah, the other guy who was out on track was Al Smith Jr. in the 96 car. He slotted himself into 10th place on his first qualifying attempt, but he's going to have to shut it down after one lap, as he also found the wall. So Al's going to shut it down after one lap.
Oh, Jake Watson with the comeback. As we talk about, it's very difficult, or it's very rare to see a driver improve on the second lap. And Watson, as we mentioned, made a mistake on his first lap, and I thought that was going to do it for him essentially, but he now puts down the new fast lap with a 21.906. So what a great recovery from Jake Watson there.
Yeah, we're getting into a little bit of those faster guys, if you will. Everybody's fast out here, but these guys have that little extra drive, extra, I don't know if they have a chromosome extra that makes these guys go quicker, but Jake Watson, one of those guys. AJ Hamill also going to be coming out here in your next group, another quick guy. Blake Neer, one of your Rookie of the Year candidates, having come onto the scene here lately, putting on some quick times. Let's see what that number 14 Sim Graphics car can do.
And as we mentioned, the top 20 get their locked into the race off of their qualifying times. The rest of the drivers will race in a 25 lap heat just to lock in those last 6 positions. So these guys are not just only pushing for the starting position, but they're also just pushing for the right to even start this race.
Yeah, you really want to try and qualify inside your top 20. As another guy who's actually out there is the 5 of Rex Hoyle. He's out here making his qualifying attempt too. He's just in that other, lobby. But if you're inside the top 20, you're guaranteed a starting spot here for the main event. Everybody else going to that last chance qualifier. So right now, Rex Hoyle, who's out there, slots that number 5 machine into the 5th place qualifying.
And this group has proven to be fast, as Blake Neer takes over 2nd place with a 21.922, and AJ Hamill takes over 3rd with a 9.61. So a lot of drivers now are starting to get under that 22-second mark, and I believe the top 5 now are all within a 10th of a second. I think maybe even the top 6, top 7 are all within a 10th of a second.
We have 25 guys who have put in qualifying attempts. Now we got a couple more guys here. Sean Cool in the 24. Sweet Stuff himself going to come out here on track. The 69, your points leader. Matt Tucker's going to come out here. And Justin McDuff, I believe, is the other guy. So 3 fast guys here. Let's see what they can put down. I believe the 69 of Matt was your pick here for the pole. And, well, there's the 24 of Sean Cool himself. Let's see which one of them can battle it out here for the pole.
Been given the okay to take to the track. I've seen the 24 pull out. The 69 waits a little bit, giving him a big gap before he pulls out. So these guys all have their own little games that they play, even in qualifying, as they try to look for the best opportunity to put themselves into the show. So take a look now at Sean Cool, who leads this group out onto the racetrack. He's going to cross the start-finish line now and start the timer for his qualifying attempt here. We've seen a couple of drivers get loose under braking through turn 1, and that's not going to be the case for Sean. He kept his car pretty tight to that yellow line throughout the whole way, even kind of dipping his tires below to help rotate that car.
Cool coming out of turn 4. Let's see where the 24 is going to slot here in qualifying. He'll be the first one out of this group to put on a qualifying attempt. 3rd quickest right now for Sean Cool with the 21.951 on his first lap. Let's see, Justin McDuff out there. Actually, Matt Cucker now goes to the pole to 21.859.
That is an insanely quick lap time from Matt Cucker, as he goes about 0.05 of a second faster than Jake Watson. That's a huge gap considering the rest of these gaps. And he'll shut it down after 1 lap, and so will Justin McDuff, who put down a 21.997. I think that would leave Sean Cool. No, Sean Cool is also shutting it down, I believe. Actually, I think he did complete his second lap, but did not improve his time. So Matt Cucker will take over the pole. So I think Watson thought he had it with his lap time, and then Cucker pulls out that insanely fast lap time. So the Rumar Vinyl Creations Pole Award will be going to the number 69 machine, as the drivers that did not come out for their qualifying attempt will not be allowed to take a time, and if they do come back in time for the the heat race, they will have to attempt to race in then. So our top 20 will move on to the race, and we will have a short heat race to see who's going to be able to take over those last 6 starting spots.
Yeah, and once we get here to the last chance qualifier, you're going to have, it looks like, a possible of 11 guys battling for 6 spots. It always makes an interesting little play here to see who can play the game of getting in the field or not. But while we step away here quick to play the national anthems, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this last chance qualifier coming up next here on MaxSpeedTV.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Welcome back to the USA International Speedway as we are getting ready for our heat race for the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series, and I believe we have 8 drivers that will be taking the grid for this this heat race, and that means only 6 will be advancing and 2 will be going home. So going through our grid real quick, starting on pole for the heat will be the 90 of Matt Roll, who is outside will be the 2 of Danny Dubuque. Brad Carpenter will roll off in 3rd, Thomas Mateer in 4th, Jeremy Watkins will roll off in 5th, Jay Dubuque in 6th, Douglas Wysocki rolls off 7th, Andy Lambert rolls off in 8th, and actually Steph Marinac will take the grid and he will roll off in 9th. So 3 drivers will be going home, and one of our fastest drivers and one of the guys that is currently in the chase with the points, and already had some trouble earlier in the season with missing the show, and that cost him quite a bit in the points, moved him from I think 3rd down to 5th, and now he's just been trying to recover ever since then, and now he has kind of a may miss the race once more. So Steph Marinak is definitely a guy to be watching and trying to make a lot of moves in this short 25 lap feature or heat.
25 laps here, the distance. 6 guys are going to lock themselves in here. Andy Lambert also going to be starting in your 8th spot here. He's going to be a guy to also watch. He's a pretty quick driver himself. Not saying that any of these guys aren't, but starting in the back here for the last chance qualifier, he's going to have to be smart and work his way through the field. Doug Wysocki, also one of those guys that are starting outside the top 6 that he's going to have to fight his way through into the class, into the field. But Matt Roll, he's going to be the guy on the pole here. He's going to have the seat in the house, if you will.
And a couple of these guys are that are just outside of the pace at the time being, so these guys have to push hard to make the show if they want to keep their chase hopes alive, because we are getting into that second half of the regular season, and this is where every little bit matters. Pace car now rolling off, and Matt Roll will lead this this group around for 2 pace laps before we go racing.
2 pace laps going to allow these drivers to put some heat in the motor, heat in the tires, and keep an eye on that track temp still sitting at 116 degrees Fahrenheit here. Air temp is still at 79 degrees. It's a cloudy day here, so the clouds do come and go, as we've mentioned this quite a few times, you know, with that new dynamic cloud and weather things that they've put into iRacing. Let's see how that plays a factor here in the last chance. These guys who have already qualified inside the top 20, they're going to be watching these guys closely to see how the track does change just in 25 laps.
Yeah, but another thing about the dynamic skies is they play a bit more of a heavier part in the qualifying than in the race, according to what one of our drivers said in interviews last week, that when the clouds roll in during the race, it kind of affects everyone, so everyone kind of gets that same boost in speed, but it does maybe affect the grip just a little bit, and maybe a driver that notices that will be able to kind of push that car a little bit harder than the guy in front of him that kind of is still driving his car as if it was still hot and sunny out. But we're getting ready now to go green on this heat. 25 laps to decide the last 6 cars in the feature race. Matt Roll kind of in the spot to be in, pace car down and away. And that 90 machine will now lead the field. Green flag is out, and look at the outside. Danny Buke getting a great start, keeping even with that 90, actually getting a nose ahead before turn number 1, but the outside line is most likely not the place he's going to want to be, and he's going to have to find a way to the inside fast as the 90 gets a huge advantage through the corner, and now he's battling with that 31 and the 89 actually as well. Thomas Mateer giving Brad Carpenter a little bit of a bump on the straightaway, and Dubuque still stuck on that high side. He's going to now lose out to the 31 and now to the 89, but he is going to be able to slot himself down. And we talk about throughout the field, but the 6th spot is the spot that we have to focus on. And right now, that's Jay Dubuque currently battling it out with Douglas Wysocki for that transfer position. And just behind them, keep an eye on the 2 of Steph Marinak. We know he's a fast driver that's been just a little bit down on his luck, and he's trying to get himself into this race. And I'm sure that car is going to make a push for it shortly.
Little contact there between the 65 of Jay Dubuque and the 45 of Doug Wysocki. Wysocki having to let out there, or otherwise he was going to turn the 65, and that's now going to allow the number 2 there of Stefan Marinak to his outside. The outside kind of working right now, as you see 2 possibly as he slides up the track. He did have a little bit of an advantage there on the 45 of Wysocki going down into turn 3 and 4. But he's going to give that up, but he's going to fight back. Now Stefan Marinak's going to clear the 45 and go after the 65 there of Jay Dubuque. Jay still holding on to that 6th spot, the last final transfer spot. Andy Lambert back here still creeping, though. He's not letting these guys get out of sight. He wants a chance at this race.
Yeah, now Marinak going to be able to start to challenge that 65 as Dubuque is covering off that inside. You see him go halfway down the racetrack on the straightaways. He's not allowing that 2 to maybe try to cross him up at all. And that's allowing Steph Marinak to actually kind of get a better run off of the corners now, and because he's tracking out the whole way, and now he is going to get clear of Dubuque, and now actually the 45 as well of Wysocki, he's going to try to follow that 2 through and follow exactly what the Steph Marinak did on the corners, and that is actually going to allow that 45 to clear the 65 as well. Actually not quite 65, battling it back through turn 1, but now is going to lose out as he's just not getting the runs off the corner. He's focusing too much on defending that inside line, and that's killing his straightaway speed. Now he's also going to lose out to the 77, so J.D. Buke now all the way to the back after holding on to that last transfer spot.
And now, as we watch that battle, now we go back up front here. It looks like the 89 of Thomas Mateer was inside or in the wall coming off turn 4. That's going to allow the 61 of Danny Dubuque to go around him for the 3rd spot. So now let's see what happens here with Thomas Mateer. See if there's, you know, if that damage is going to affect him, because here comes Stefan Miranak. He's battling for the 5th position there with Jeremy Watkins in the 34. Stefan Miranak has come from the back, now up inside your top 5 here in the last chance qualifier. He's making all his passes on the outside. You know, we talked about it being, you know, a one-groove track, as, you know, we have a battle also up here for the lead. Brad Carpenter trying to use that outside line to get around the 90 of Matt Roll. Matt Roll holding that 90 car to the inside. You know, a little bit of damage there also on that 31's rear end.
These guys have to be careful, though. They can battle for position, but all that's really going to affect is where they start the feature race. And if they wreck here, though, that will put them outside of that transfer spot. So while they do want to finish at a good spot and give themselves a better starting spot. Oh, contact between the 61 and the 89, a little bit behind them as Mateer was trying to make it work on the high side. And looks like he got a little bit loose and into the side of the 61. Both those cars will recover, and that's what I'm saying. If you're within that top 6, you don't need to push that hard. You're going to make it into the feature. All you're going to do is maybe get yourself 1 or 2 spots towards the back of the field. So these guys need to kind of calm it down and keep their mind focused on the big prize. But these guys are still racing, and they want to race for position no matter what.
And right now, your 6th spot still being held by the 34, Jeremy Watkins. Doug Wysocki was all over him for a moment. Now Wysocki goes into the corner there, gets that 45 a little bit out of shape. He's going to hang on to her, but now he's going to possibly lose a position to the 77 to Lambert, as Lambert goes to the inside of him now. As they go into turn 3 and 4, it looks like Lambert got down on the apron a little bit, but he was able to handle that. 77 now going to go around the 45 on the front stretch. That's going to move Lambert now into your 7th position, 1 step closer to the 34, Jeremy Watkins.
Watkins still hanging on to that last transfer spot. He knows who's behind him. He knows that 77 is there, and he's just going to try to open that gap as much as possible. And I'm sure if he sees an opportunity to pass the 89 and kind of put a buffer on that transfer spot, he's going to take it. But Lambert is now putting on some pressure at 34. Lambert's found some speed now, and he's moving himself a little bit further up the field.
And as we were watching them, Stefan Miranak was looking to the outside of Danny Dubuque for the 3rd position, but that didn't work for him that time. He's kind of, as a 61, you see him slip off the inside. Maybe Stefan's going to look to the inside on him. No, he's just going to shut the door. He's going to sit there in 4th place for right now. That was a battle for your 3rd and 4th spot. That kind of cooled off. Brad Carpenter still out front. Matt Roll 2nd. Danny Dubuque 3rd. Stefan Miranak 4th. Thomas Mateer in 5th. And holding down your transfer spot, still the 34, Jeremy Watkins.
Watkins may not be guaranteed that spot, as he's still got some pressure from the 77th Lambert. The gap's opened up a little bit over the last couple laps as Watkins kind of recovered to get back on it, and now Lambert needs to readjust his line maybe a little bit, as he's still not quite gaining ground at that 34. I kind of stay keeping the same gap, and the 34 still has a few cars in front of him that might actually hold him up a little bit. If the 89 were to make a mistake, or someone maybe a little bit further up were to make a mistake, that would check up the field and could allow the 77 to slip by.
There was a mistake a lap ago between the 61 there of Danny Dubuque and the number 2 of Stefan Miranak, as Miranak made his way around him, as Dubuque kind of slipped off the bottom. As you see now, the 98 of Thomas Mateer getting real close to the back bumper of Danny. Does Danny maybe use his tires up, as you see the 2 as Stefan Miranak is pulling away from him? So that could be something to watch here, as we got 9 to go here in your last chance qualifier. Jeremy Watkins, though, still hanging on to 6th position, holding off the 77 to Lambert. Can he do it for 8 more times around this track once we get 8 to go here this time at the line?
In the last lap, it did look like Lambert was going to dive to the inside. He had himself set up to kind of make a dive into turn 1, but decided to back out of it, and that'll cost him a little bit of time. That time, though, he was very quick through turns 1 and 2, and that closed up the gap real quickly to the 34 machine. So Lambert has some speed, but he just has to find a way around that 34 machine.
Yeah, as that's the battle for your transfer spot, but also up front, now it looks like the number 2 of Miranak did make his way around the 90 of Roll, so now put Miranak there in your 2nd position, but that's just moving him 1 position up on the starting grid as he, if he drives smart here for the next couple laps, he'll lock himself in. But who's going to lock themselves in here in the 6th position? Is it going to be the 34 of Watkins as he goes high there? Kind of slipped off the inside lane. Lambert closed in, tried to get to the back bumper of the 34, wasn't able to. He backed off and let the 34 gather it up. So now Lambert only going to have 6 laps. Can he do it? Can he get around the 34? We know he has some speed in that that ice car there. When is he going to make his move?
It almost looked like a couple laps ago that the 34 was going to make a move on the 89, but I guess he backed out of it thinking that if he made a mistake while going for that, he could end up losing a spot to that 77. He's just kind of focusing on holding off that 77 machine, and Lambert is finding ways to close that gap, but can never quite make the move. Every time he tries to make a move, it kind of costs him time, but his time is starting to kind of run out here. He has to make a move shortly, and another thing is the way they have this set up is if someone like Lambert were to make a crazy move and take out the 34, they could bump if Lambert were to make it in 6th place, but the stewards were to find that he made it through maybe an illegal move, that they could bump him out of the race and move someone else in that position. So Lambert does have to be mindful of what he does here. He actually gets loose going into turns 3 there, as he had to check it up quite a bit, but his times are running out. I think 3 laps to go here in the LCQ.
Yeah, you can tell that 77 is really driving that car in real hard, because you see that rear end of that machine sliding out every time he enters the corner, as you see him maybe catch the little bit of that wall there on the backstretch. He's only about a car and a half back of the 34, so he's right there, but time is running down. 2 laps to go here in the last chance qualifier. As you see, the 77 didn't quite get the power down that time coming off 4, but he drives it into the corner real hard again, about a half car length lane up off the yellow line, then sucks it down to that yellow line, in the wall possibly again for the 77. 1 to go this time at the line.
And just in front of them, the 89 and the 61 kind of feeling each other out. Doesn't look like Thomas Matier wants to make a move on Dubuque and kind of cost anything. It looks like Lambert really laid off coming towards the white flag there. I don't know if he decided to give up on it or what there. It looks like he may have gotten loose off of 4, but that is going to kill his chances now, as he is way too far back from the 34 to make a move, and that's going to allow Brad Carpenter to take the win in the LCQ. Jeremy Watkins will hold on to that last transfer spot. So your 6 moving on to the race will be the 31 of Brad Carpenter, the 2 of Steph Marinac, the 90 of Matt Roll, the 61 of Danny Dubuque, the 89 of Thomas Matier. Jeremy Watkins will take home that last transfer spot, and the drivers that will not make it are the 77 of Andy Lambert, the 45 of Doug Wysocki, and the 65 of Jay Dubuque. Gonna take
this
step
portion
aside
of the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series on MaxSpeedTV is brought to you by NHR, Eddie's Meat Market, Devil's Bowl Speedway, Vermont's fastest half mile, Atomic Graphics,
the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
International Speedway. We have caught up with the winner of our last chance qualifier, the 31 of Brad Carpenter. And Brad, you said you kind of messed up your qualifying here when we first kind of stepped aside with you. And how did you really recover from that in the LCQ?
Well, it's kind of embarrassing going from pole to not even qualifying for the race and doing LCQ. No, I just knew that I could get out front. Once I got out front, it's just pretty easy sailing, but the car's pretty tight, I'll say that. It's not going to be a very fun main event.
Well, you got yourself into the show, and that's really the big thing here. So what is your focus now when is shifting to the main race?
Just taking it easy at the beginning of the race, saving the car a little bit. I think I didn't save it enough last race, so that's my goal, is just stay out of trouble and save it till the end.
Well, we're about to hit the grid now, so we're going to let you go, but thank you for coming and taking the time to talk to us just for that short little while, and good luck to you in the race.
All right, thank you very much.
That was the driver of the number 31 machine, Brad Carpenter, the winner of the LCQ, and going to be starting a little bit further back in the field, but if he has the same pace in the race as he did in the LCQ, I'm sure he has a chance to improve his times. But now moving on to the Best Colorful Creations starting grid. On pole, the winner of our Rumar Vinyl Designs Pole Award, the 69 of Matt Cucker. Second place to his outside, that's going to be the 88 of Jake Watson. Blake Neer will be rolling off in third. John Cool starts in fourth in that 24 machine. The 18 of AJ Hamill starting off in fifth. Brian Hacker will roll off in sixth place. Rex Hoyle, though, in seventh. Justin McDuff, another driver towards the front of our point standings, will be rolling off in eighth. Woljavicki starts in ninth. Rounding out our top 10, the 02 of Josh Mayu. The 70 of Dylan Canova will start off in 11th. Paul Henley starts in 12th. The 13 of Guillaume Fortin rolls off in 13th. And just to his outside, that's the 12 of Brian Rogers Jr. Jeremy Carpenter will start in 15th. To his outside to be the 42 of Brett Bartels in 16th. Al Smith Jr. saying that he may not make the show, actually qualifies in 17th. And 18th goes to AJ Childs. John Minyaka in that 3 machine will be rolling off in 19th. Mike Holtzclaw rolls off in 20th. Brad Carpenter, a winner of our LCQ, starts in 21st. Jeff Marinak will start to his outside in 22nd. Watch for that 2 machine to be making his way through the field. Matt Roll will be rolling off in 23rd. Danny Dubuque in 24th. Thomas Mateer in 25th. Jeremy Watkins starts 26th. And that will be the last car in our 26 car field. So shifting our focus back towards the front, Matt Cucker will lead the field around for one more time. Lights are now out on the pace car as we get ready to start the NHR 100.
26 cars here to take the field. Who's going to end up being the winner here? 100 laps here from USA International Speedway, 75 miles the distance. Who will come out victorious here?
Another thing to keep in mind, these guys will not be allowed to change tires at any point in the race. So if they have a caution, they will only be allowed to come down pit road to fix damage. So the tires they start on, the tires they finish on. From what we heard from drivers, that front right tire is going to take a beating. So it's going to be all about who can save their stuff to the end. Pace car now down and away as we wait for the green, drop the green flag. And the green is in the air, so Matt Cucker now will lead this field to the start-finish line. To his outside, Jake Watson putting on a lot of pressure as he gets a good jump as well, and he does not want to give up that spot. Thinks he may have a chance on that high side, but the 69 will clear him by the end of the second turn, and that's going to allow Jake Watson to tuck in behind him. As we knew a lot of these guys had some troubles on the outside, and look at Brian Hacker. He's trying to hold on to the outside, but he wants to get to the inside, but can't find a spot. Now the 18 of AJ Hamill putting on that pressure, trying to hold on to the inside line and kind of box out the 11 and allow him to hold on to that fifth spot.
AJ Hamill there to the inside of the number 11 of Brian Hacker. Hacker was holding on there, but it looks like the number 18 is going to win out. Right behind the number 11, though, is going to be Justin McDuff. McDuff kind of peeking to the inside. Hacker gave him the lane, but then shuts the door on him once they go through the corner. That's going to allow Hacker to retain that 6th position. So right now, AJ Hamill's 5th, Hacker 6th, McDuff in 7th. Everybody pretty much single filed out. Your front row single filed out. They stayed 1-2. Cucker out front, Watson 2nd, Cool 3rd, Near 4th, Hamill 5th.
A lot of drivers said that this was going to be a single file race. There's only really one groove around here. And right now, it's not really about being the fastest driver on track. It's about being the driver that can save his stuff and kind of take care of his tires. Because by the end of this race, it's going to show who's kind of worn down that right front and who's kind of taking care of their car. So these first few opening laps may be kind of a bit slower and a bit slower paced and a bit down for passing action, but I think that's going to make up for it later on in the race. But look at Jake Watson and Matt Cucker. Watson still putting the pressure on that 69 machine, and I think it's going to come back to bite the 88 because take a look at these two cars in the corners. Look, the 69 machine is just so smooth, and the 88 just looks like he's driving that car way too hard. His last lap going through turns 3 and 4, I saw him get down in the apron and kind of hook the car a little, but actually caused him to wobble just a little bit. And I think that kind of will kind of scuff up the tires just a little bit more. So I think Jake Watson's idea is to kind of not allow Cucker to kind of walk away with things and keep pressure on Cucker and force Cucker to kind of wear down those tires a little bit. But I think that's causing the 88 to wear down those tires for himself.
And you're talking about single file. Don't tell the number 2 of Stefan Mirnak, who's back here battling for the 18th position. We know he's quick, and we know he had to start out in the back. How hard is he going to push here in the opening round? He goes around the number 3 of Minyaka here. He's going to take the 17th spot. But how hard is he got to start pushing? Does he push early or try and ride around here in the back? As he's going to come up to the bumper of the 96 here of Al Smith. Al Smith running in the 16th spot, right behind the number 1 of Jeremy Carpenter. The question is, can Mirnak make these passes though and keep that right front on that number 2 car? We're going to have to find out. He's up from the 22nd position, though, to 17th right now. See if he can continue to march through the field. Out front, though, still going to be the 69. Cucker right there with Jake Watson on his bumper. A little bit of distance between the top 2 and the 3rd place of Sean Cool. Sean Cool then has a couple car lengths back to the number 14 of Blake Neer. Single file at the front.
Well, we've just had a cloud roll, and that's going to allow the track to cool off just a little bit and allow these guys to push a bit harder while still not burning that tire up just too much. And I'd expect Mirnak to keep pushing because now he's going to get to the inside of that 96 machine. Mirnak is a fast driver. He's been towards the front. He was our runner-up last season in the point standings, and he's just kind of encountered some technical issues tonight. And it's the only reason why he's starting so far in the back. I'm sure if he had qualified, he would have been starting in that top 5. So I've watched for the 2 machine to be our biggest mover of the night. He's already up 6 positions.
6 positions, and he's not looking to stop because he's all over the back bumper there of the number 1 of Jeremy Carpenter, as he might have got a little bit of the wall there coming off the corner, but it looks like we might have a caution here. Caution on the raceway. I think it involves the number 3 of John Minyaka as he's sitting backwards there on the backstretch. Let's see if we can throw it over to KR. KR, what do you see here with a MaxSpeedTV replay?
You are not wrong in saying that the trouble starts with John Minyaka, or I shouldn't say starts with him, as we're getting ready to figure it out, but that 3 machine was turned around facing the wrong way, and now we're checking out how this happened. He's going down into 1 and 2 here. Car looking very stable, very steady, and then a moment he blinks out, and then Brad Carpenter in the 31 with nowhere to go as the 3 just reappears right in front of him, is going to turn that Minyaka machine right around.
John Minyaka just got his car back rolling as he kind of had to wait a whole lap for the field to go by, now kind of tagging onto the back of the field at this moment. And that's going to allow these guys to cool off the tires a little bit, and that's also going to allow the track to cool off a bit, as we still have a little bit of cloud cover right now, kind of allowing this track to now dip under 100 degrees Fahrenheit for I think the first time all night.
Yeah, first time the track temp is down under 100 degrees, and the first time the track temp is down under 100 degrees under race conditions for these guys in a couple of weeks. So let's see how these guys play. play with the track temp here being down. We're gonna see what happens here with the number 69 of Cucker, as usually we see him take a little unique line here under caution, but he's up there weaving his car back and forth right now. Let's see what he does going through the corners. He's one of those odd guys that likes to stay off the racing surface and cool the tires a little more, but he's gonna run it right to the bottom.
Yeah, and we see a couple drivers running up top to cool off the tires, and it almost looks like Cucker's trying to keep his tires warm. He's possibly worried that this cloud is gonna cool things off just a little bit too much, and he was weaving the last time around, and so was the 88 machine. And as we mentioned, the Cucker usually sticks towards the outside. The 88 was up on the high side through 1 and 2, and so was the 24. The 88 this time going up high, and it's definitely interesting to see Cucker down low.
Pretty interesting, as I believe we're going to get the 1 to go here this time at the line, but your top 10 as they sit right now, it looks like the 69 of Cucker's in first, Watson second, Sean Cool's in third, Blake Neer fourth, AJ Hamill in fifth, Brian Hacker sixth, Justin McDuff in that 20 car is seventh, Rex Hoyle in eighth, Wilder Vicky ninth, Dylan Canova rounds out your top 10 as they sit here after 15 laps in the USA International.
Lights are still on in the pace car, so we've got at least a couple more laps to go. And the track is definitely cooling off, because now we're down to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's going to allow the cars to just push all that much more once we get back going green. And I think it'll take a little bit more time to heat that track up once again, because we still have that cloud overhead. If that cloud clears, which I think it is starting to, it looks like the track's starting to lighten up just a little bit. That'll allow the track to heat back up again, but for the time being, I think this might be a good chance for maybe that 88 machine to make a move on the high side, as lights are now out on the pace car.
Lights are out on the pace car. We're 1 lap away from getting these guys wound back up, and now the 69 of Cucker's going to have to deal with the 88 of Watson. Is the track cooled enough that that outside lane is going to allow the 88 of Watson to get around the 69 here on the start? We're about to find out. We know Sean Cool there on the inside and Blake Neer to the outside of the second row. They're just waiting for one of those guys to slip up so they can attack and make a move on them. Waiting on that pace car to come down here so we can get them back racing. Bringing them down real nice and slow. It looks like the 69's back on the loud pedal. We're racing here once again. He's going to get a great start. He's going to clear the 88 by the time they get to turn 1. That's going to put the 88 of Watson side by side with Sean Cool. Sean Cool to the inside. Sean Cool looks like he's going to have the momentum, but the 88's going to fight back on the outside. So Cucker with the momentum, he got away early. That left the 88 with Sean Cool to the inside, still side by side as they work through 3 and 4. 3 and 4 now. It looks like the 88's going to lose a little bit of ground. Sean Cool's going to go now P2 on the boards here as he gets around the 88 going into turn 1.
The sun is now back out, so the track's going to start heating up, especially now with the drivers at raised pace moving these cars around. That's going to heat that inside lineup, and which is actually going to start heating those tires up even more and start to damage that right front even more. So watch for these guys to maybe take it a bit easier as the track starts warming up, but until that temperature goes in, these guys are pushing these cars hard, and that's a lot what allowed Sean Cool to get around Jake Watson. Not only just be pushing that car a little bit harder, but just having that fantastic jump off the start. And now this is I think the biggest gap Matt Cucker's had throughout the night, because Watson had just put so much pressure onto those opening laps.
Well, Cucker may have a gap right now, but don't tell that to the 5 of Rex Hoyle, because he was stuck on the outside lane ever since the drop of the green. Now he's going to slot himself in front of the 13, but him and the 13 were door to door, side by side there for a handful of laps here on this restart. Got to go a little bit farther back though to the number 70 of Dylan Canova. He's side by side with our big mover, the number 2 of Steph Miranak. Steph Miranak looking for that 12th spot as he's going to actually get it. Looks like the 70 Canova is just going to hand it over. He's not going to battle. He knows it's too early in the race here to wear down the tires, but Miranak putting on a clinic coming through the field. Started 22nd, now up to 12th. 2 more positions, he'll be inside your top 10.
And Maranak is a guy that finished in the top 5 3 times this season, and I'm sure he would have finished in the top 5 even more if he hadn't encountered the issues that he had earlier on this season. So he's definitely a guy with a lot of potential, and is not one to be really to wait around in the midfield for very long. So we've seen him move up 10 spots, and I'm sure he's going to want to move up another few more just to get himself into a good point scoring position and kind of secure his place in the chase.
He's looking to have a good points day, and he's on his way to 1, but the guy who's out front still the 69 and Matt Cucker. He's kind of rolling away from these guys. He has about a half-second lead over the second place guy, and that's still Sean Cool, but Sean Cool has that 88 of Watson still all over him. Watson trying to find a way around him the last couple laps, but not really pushing the envelope. Doesn't want to dive it in there underneath the 24 and have something start between them, because he doesn't want to have to drop to the back of the line causing a yellow. So he's just going to kind of keep it cool and try and keep the temperature out of that right front tire yet.
Yeah, it seems like the 88 might be faster than the 24, but it's so difficult to pass at this track that even if the 88 was faster, it's so hard for him to try to find a way around. He's been looking and kind of watching the 24 as he follows along behind him, but there's no real opening for him to dive down to the inside unless he were to kind of set something up to get a good run off of one of these corners to go after the 24 machine. But there's really no differences in these guys' line right now, and I don't know if there's much of a change that 88 can do to get a better shot at the 24.
Yeah, last lap there, the 24, Sean Cool did gain a little bit on Matt Cucker, but still hovering as you actually see him really close in there. Maybe Matt's trying to set the pace of this race, trying to slow it down just a little bit, trying to save the tires. He's out front. He doesn't have to worry about anybody out front. Get around so he can set that pace. But the 24, Sean Cool, he's got to push because he's under attack by the 88 of Watson. Right behind them, you still got a little bit of a gap then back to the 4th place, but Blake Neer is hanging on there. AJ Hamill's going to round out your top 5. Brian Hacker, Justin McDuff, Will Dervicki, Rex Hoyle, Guillaume Fortin going to round out your top 10. Steph Mirnak now into 11th place, so he's still on the move, up 1 position since the last time we talked about him.
Yeah, I think you're right about Matt Cucker. I think he is just kind of laying back and kind of taking it a bit more easy and managing, just kind of keeping an eye on the gap and managing the gap. Is if he starts losing too much time, he'll maybe push a little bit. If he's got enough of a gap, he'll lay off, and just focusing on managing those tires and managing the heat in those tires. As we mentioned, these are the only set they will be allowed for the entire race, so he's got to take care of it. And if he wants to have if maybe someone gets a bit of a run on him later on in the race, if he saved his stuff, he'll definitely be able to fend them off.
Still single file though through your top 10. Nobody really pushing the issue. Matt Cucker still leading the way. Sean Cool second. Jake Watson right there on the back bumper of the 24 still. Not much racing going on out here.
Yeah, and it's still a long way before that 69 machine actually catches up to any lap traffic. Pretty much the entire length of a straightaway. I think even further, AJ Child's the closest one, and he's just going down the back straightaway right now. So it's pretty much half of the track length between Cucker and the last car on the lead lap. And really, I think that just is a product of this track. As we mentioned, it's one of the bigger tracks on the calendar for this season at 3/4 of a mile. And so it's not going to be like when we were at Lanier a few weeks ago, where these guys were passing each other and passing the lap cars pretty much every other lap.
Yeah, there's one guy a lap down. That's going to be the number 3 at John Minyaka. He's battling back there also with Jeremy Watkins, but he's a lap down. And your leader's still out front, Matt Cucker. Nothing's changed out front. Still single file racing. These guys just early on trying to hang on to her, keep the keep talking about it, that right front, trying to keep the temperature out of it. Stefan Mirnak has kind of hit a wall though, giving you an update on him as we check in on him. He's still sitting in that 11th spot, worked his way from 22nd to 11th, and now it's kind of hit a wall, hasn't moved up in quite a while.
And he's now starting to get himself towards the territory that he's normally in, and now he's starting to battle with the drivers that he's normally used to battling, and kind of the guys that know how to fend him off a bit more. But it's also, I think he's starting to wear off his tires a little bit as he's pushed so hard, and he's now, it looks like he's almost struggling for grip because he's getting really tight off the corners. That last time around kind of scraped the wall off of too. And we talked to some of these drivers beforehand that the car was loose going into the corners and tight coming out of the corners. So it's something that they're going to have to manage with. And I'm sure those conditions are just going to get worse as these cars wear off these tires. And I'm sure that especially the tight condition off of the corner is going to get worse as the race goes on.
And talking about tires once again, I'm sure the 2 there of Mirnak, who's started out back, worked his way to 11th, kind of wore those tires down pretty quick there, making those aggressive moves to get to where he is. So we're gonna have to check on him a little bit later as we're working lap 36 here out of 100. Out front, though, Sean Cool did reel in the 69 of Cucker. Is Cucker still playing mind games? You never know with him. He's still out front, but Sean Cool there for that last lap was right on his back bumper with the 88 of Watson. They kind of separated themselves away from the number 14 of Blake Neer, and then Neer kind of opened up a little gap over AJ Hamill.
Well, it's one thing to catch a driver, it's another thing to pass him, and Jake Watson knows that all too well. Is now Watson going to try to make a move. He came up a little high through 3 and 4 before diving down off of 4, getting himself a good run off of the corner. And watch this again. He's entering a little bit high, diving it down to the inside. That's getting him a better run off the corner. It's something he's experimenting with. And there he is. He's going to make the move to the inside. Going to get that nose in and dive it into turn number 3. Sean Cool's just going to stay high and let him go. So that was some great driving from Jake Watson to kind of test something out, see what worked. And once he found what worked, he immediately pounced on the opportunity. But when that happened, that allowed Cucker to open up a much larger gap, adding another 3/10 on top of the gap that he had already. And that's going to allow kind of Cucker to lay off the next few corners, allow him to save those tires and kind of ease up on things. And that's, I think, going to kind of hurt the rest of the field's chances in the long run.
Yeah, we were talking about a little while ago how the 88 did seem to be a little quicker than the 24, and he proved it there, but he had to search around a couple laps to find a groove that was going to work for that 88 machine, and once he found it, he went right to the bottom there and went right around the 24 of Sean Cool. So Sean Cool is going to fall back to the 3rd position, still in striking distance, but now can the 88 of Watson run down the 69 of Cucker? Cucker is just right there, half second in front of him. Cucker's still running the bottom lane, and Watson's running that new lane he found where he enters a little bit higher and diamonds it, goes down to the apron there and gets a good run off the corner. Can he do that a handful of times and reel him in? He's the only one really running that line right now, so it might have a little more grip in it, a little cooler for that 88.
And I think Watson is just trying to experiment with what worked with him to catch the 24 machine. And that's enter the corner a little bit higher and then dive into turn number 4 to use these long straightaways that this track has to his advantage. And that's allowed him to open up a bit of a gap over Cool. And I'm going to wonder if maybe Sean's going to watch what that 88's doing and maybe attempt it for himself to kind of hold off that 14 of Blake Neer.
Sean Cool not really attempting that just yet, but if you watch the 14 of Blake Neer looked to the inside there a moment ago, but Sean Cool kind of shut the door, so he had to back it off. But Blake Neer is running that little bit, a car and a half up off that bottom line coming into the corner, and that's allowing him to get that momentum down the straightaway, same as what Watson was doing. Neer saw it, Neer saw what Watson was doing. Now Neer is trying to do it himself, but he's now finding himself under pressure from the 18 of AJ Hamill. If Neer can possibly get away from the 18 and run back down the 24 of Sean Cool.
And Blake Neer having to defend against AJ Hamill last time, as Neer looked like he just didn't quite get through turns 3 and 4 all that well, and that allowed that 18 to get right up to his bumper. But AJ Hamill there was no gap for him to work with, so he had to lay off, and that kind of killed his speed a little bit, allowed him to kind of drop back a little bit more towards the clutches of Brian Hacker.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a battle back here for your 10th spot. Stefan Miranak was battling with the number 13 of Guillaume Fortin. He got around him, and then Guillaume went under attack by the 12 of Brian Rogers, but Rogers wasn't able to complete the pass on the inside. So that's going to allow the 13 to retain the 11th position. Stefan Miranak maybe still having a little bit left in the tank here. Now up inside your top 10.
Yeah, Miranak started in 22nd, now in 10th. That is an improvement of 12 positions. And even if he is just a fast car, it's still insane to be able to make that kind of move, especially as these drivers talked about. This is a track that is very difficult for passing, doesn't really lend itself well to racing side by side, but Miranak has still been able to move himself up 12 spots from the start of this race, and we've still got over halfway to go.
Working lap 48 here out of 100. Out front, though, still going to be the 69 of Cucker. Watson and Cucker have now opened up, looks like about a second gap back to Sean Cool. But Watson has now caught the 69. Just about. Got about a car length between the two as they work through turn 3 and 4 this time. So Watson, is he faster than Cucker, or is Cucker just laying off, cooling the tires down? Now it looks like Watson's gone back to the traditional line there of running the bottom, and Cucker kind of running that line that Watson was running, where you enter a little bit higher, diamond the corner, come back down to the apron.
And now Watson actually getting really close up to that 69 machine. A little bit of a wobble, though, from Watson coming off turn 4, so That's going to kill his momentum just a little bit, but he still does close the gap ever so slightly on that last lap. And now these two might actually battle it out. And I think if Cucker was laying off, he might have done it just a little bit too much, because now he's kind of within the grasp of Jake Watson. And even if Cucker's got some more tread left on those tires, I mean, it's going to be hard for that 69 machine to hold off the 88 if he gets a good run off a corner. But I think I'd say Cucker still kind of has the advantage here, as I don't think he's had to run as hard as the 88 machine has.
Cucker really hasn't been under fire all night, so he's been able to save the tires of that 69, especially the right front, but now under fire here with Jake Watson catching him. But what does Watson have left? I mean, he really he laid off the 24 there for a while, and then he went under attack once he got around Sean Cool to run down the 69 of Cucker. And what does he have left? As you see him kind of getting a little tight coming off the corners here the last couple laps, as they've opened up almost a 2-second gap back to third place. So these guys don't want to see a yellow come out anytime soon. They want to battle it out, settle it out between the two of them.
I'm sure Watson doesn't want to see another yellow come out, because the last one caused him to lose a position and lose a lot of time that he could have been pressuring Matt Cucker. And this is about the position we saw these guys have before the last caution waved. And I think the situation has changed a little bit, because while Watson is still a fast car out there, he had to push a little bit harder to battle with Sean Cool, and that allowed Cucker to open up a bit of a gap where Cucker was able to just kind of lay back and save his tires. So even if Watson, like, he may have the speed, but I just don't think he has the tire life to be able to make a pass here. Because anytime that he can have a chance, I mean, Cucker can just step on that throttle a little bit more and just give a little bit more to that car and use that extra grip he has. Like I said, it's one thing to catch a car, it's a completely another thing to pass them.
Yeah, we haven't seen much passing here from the USA International Speedway tonight, but Watson trying to prove that theory wrong. He's trying to work over the 69. He's able to get to the 69's back bumper as they enter the corner, just not able to really get underneath him or, you know, put a fender to him at all. So right there you see him close into about half a car length going into the corner, just not able to put the power back down. Sean Cool now back to a 2.5 second distance between the leader and third place. So these two leaders are still putting on quick times out there, as even though they're nose to tail.
Yeah, Cucker and Watson are just doing their own race right now. They have taken off from the rest of the field, and they are actually starting to catch up on Minyaka, who is the first lap car that they will be encountering in I'd say a few laps here. Is Minyaka is about a turn ahead of them. He's just about to cross the start-finish line now as Cucker and Watson exit turn 4. So the lap traffic may shake things up a little bit, and that might be what Watson's kind of waiting for, is maybe a lap car to kind of allow open up a gap that he can maybe try to squeeze through.
Yeah, and it's just going to let Matt Cucker and Watson catch these guys, as Mateer, Watkins, and Minyaka were back here battling it out for quite a few laps side by side. It looks like somebody's been in the wall and whatnot, and these three battling it out here, running at the tail of the field, is just going to let your leaders run them down quicker, as they are closing the gap quick.
Yeah, about 0.2 of a second between Cucker and Watson, as Watson is all over the rear bumper of that 69 machine throughout the entire track, and Watson putting on some great pressure on Cucker and not allowing Cucker to lay back at all. And I think Watson, it seems like he does have some speed there, but we'll have to wonder, is he waiting for just his opening, or there's still a lot of time left, as we still are about 40 laps away from the finish here. So Watson might just be biding his time and waiting for maybe Cucker to make a mistake. He might be just trying to pressure that 69 car into making a mistake. But Matt Cucker's not one I've really been seen forced into an error at any point over these last 2 seasons that he's been racing with the Upstate Racing League.
Yeah, Cucker's not one to usually make the mistakes, but there is a battle once again on track. We talked about it all night. Stefan Mirnak, as he gets into the back of the 11, Brian Hacker's going to be around on the front stretch. It doesn't look like it's going to bring out a yellow, because he is off the racing surface. So we saw Stefan Mirnak battling with him, and that turned the number 11 of Brian Hacker around. He's still sitting there in the grass, no caution being flown. Let's see what happens here with the number 11.
The 11 just got loose.
Looks like he's going to have to tow it. That's going to put an end possibly to the number 11's night, but that's going to move Stefan Miranak now up into your 8th position, right behind the number 30 of Wilder Vicky.
Now the leaders are starting to encounter some lap traffic. While that happens, KR, maybe you can give us an update on what happened there to that number 11 machine.
What I saw was a move being made by Steph Maranak, and then at the same time, Brian Hacker got loose coming up off the corner. When he tried to save it and lift, Maranak had already made his move to the inside lane, and that put Hacker right in his crosshairs. Kind of one of those bad timing, wrong place, wrong time. No ill will by my opinion from what Steph did, but man, unfortunate for Brian Hacker.
And it looks like a message coming from Brian Hacker saying that his brake kept sticking, so that might be the reason why he suddenly slowed off of turn 4. And it looks like he may have tried to just get out of the way as he realized his brake was stuck and he lost all that speed, and suddenly he had 2 cars coming up on him. And it looked like he may have cranked that wheel to the left, just trying to get out of the way of those 2 cars, and just kind of put him right in front of Maranak and ended up sending him into the wall, unfortunately. And you gotta wonder though how much damage that caused the front end of that 2 machine. It doesn't look like all that much. It does look like he crinkled up that front end a decent amount though, but at the moment it doesn't seem to be affecting him really all that much. As one advantage of short track racing is aerodynamics. It plays a small part, but not as much as maybe a super speedway would.
Absolutely. So that's going to put Steph Miranak in 8th, but now if you go back up front here to your leaders here, it looks like Kucker's going to work to the inside of John Minyaka. Looks like your front 2 are going to work around them, but they are now going to be into some traffic here for the next couple of laps. As the next guy they're going to get to, that looks like that's going to be the 34 of Jeremy Watkins. But right now, if you look at the distance, that distance is almost back up to a half a second there for Matt Kucker. Did Kucker turn it on there while we were watching the replay, or not replay, but getting update on number 2, Steph Miranak.
Yeah, Kucker now having to deal with this lap traffic, but he is working his way through them pretty easily, and I think this is just kind of showing the difference in the tires between the 69 and the 88. Is Kucker is able to work all these different angles, but now he's actually going to face a bit of a roadblock between the 41 and the 90, as those two are battling for position on the track side by side, and now Kucker is not going to have any way to get through. And now look at the 88 going to close up that gap all the way, and that 41 and 90 are still battling. The 90 is going to back out. That's going to now allow Kucker to get through, and now Watson to get through.
There's a little bit of contact there as the 88 tried to pass the number 90 coming off the corner. The 88 coming up, the 90 was coming down. A little bit of contact, but they worked it out. The 88's still going, but he lost a little bit of time now to Matt Kucker. Kucker's going to pull ahead just a little bit, as now Jake Watson's going to get around the number 41 of AJ Childs. So still 1 and 2, but now look at that gap. It's opening up even more for the number 69 as they work through traffic.
And I think Kucker is just finally turning on the jets and opening up that gap and kind of showing Watson that he was just kind of toying with him as he saved his tires. And that gap has kind of grown to pretty much 2/10 in just the last couple laps here. As I think it just now, that's really the difference between these 2 cars right now, is Watson had to battle with Sean Cool earlier on, and Kucker was just able to quietly work his way around the track. It's now 72 laps in the books, and 72 laps led by that number 69 machine.
The 69 and Matt Kucker qualified on the pole this evening, led every lap so far, but let's not jinx him. There's actually a battle. If you look a little bit farther back in the pack here, there's a battle between the 96 of Al Smith and the number 70 of Dylan Canova. Al started back in the 17th spot and now trying to work around the 70 as it looks like he's going to clear him, but can the 70 pull a crossover on him coming off turn 4? Al's going to shut the door. No crossover for Dylan, nowhere for him to go, so that's going to put Al in the 12th position, Dylan back to 13th.
For someone that said that they weren't very good at this track, Al Smith is having a decent showing tonight, up 5 positions and just 2 more away from getting into the top 10. The only problem is Brian Rogers and Rex Hoyle are a few seconds ahead of Al Smith. He's about a second back from Brian Rogers and about 3 seconds back from Rex Hoyle. Now this field is completely spread out across this racetrack.
Everybody pretty much spread out, and out front, it's still the same distance between the top two. Cucker got about a half-second lead over the 88 of Watson. Sean Cool still back here. He's actually buried in traffic that your leaders had worked their way around. He's finally getting to the number 90 there of Matt Rolls. He's not able to quite get around him. Now it looks like the 90 is going to release him, let Sean Cool go to the inside. He knows he's faster. He knows he's on the lead lap, and right behind him is going to be the number 14 of Blake Neer. And Neer gets into the 90. The 90 looks to go around on the front stretch.
Caution is out on the racetrack as the 90 goes around. That is going to switch things up a little bit, as that's going to allow the field to all bunch up once again. And AR, we kind of saw it a bit on the show there, and want to walk us through what just happened there with the 90 and the 14.
The 90 and the 14 are gonna make contact when they come off the corner. I backed this up a little bit so we can see how it gets set up. You can see Matt Roll allows Sean Cool to go right on by, but then Blake Neer in the 14 just kind of misjudges the amount of space needed by Matt Roll in the 90 machine to come up off the corner, and contact made in a very vulnerable spot for that 90, as he's going to go around here right on the front stretch, but gets it straightened out and gets rolling again with what looks like very minimal damage.
I'm re-watching the 14, and I'm almost seeing, it looks like when he was coming off of turn 4, he was way down low, kind of hooking the apron, as we've seen many times. But as we talked about, it's possible to get your car just a little bit off balance. It looks like there's a slight wobble for that 14, then that car gets really tight as he goes up the racetrack. And I think that's what caused him to get into the 90s. He just didn't want to back down and thought he might be able to stick it, but unfortunately that 90 car was still up there, which is what caused him to spin around. But now we're gonna have to focus on this pack bunching up. Last time a caution came out, it really came back to bite Jake Watson and allow Cucker to kind of roll off ahead. So I wonder if Watson might maybe take a different approach to this next restart.
Yeah, Watson definitely going to have to get a better restart than what he had last time, because it's actually still going to be Cucker first, Watson second, Sean Cool third. Sean Cool got around the 88 of Watson last time, but we're going to have to wait a moment to find out, as we're going to step away for just a moment. Don't go anywhere. 20 laps here from the USA International Speedway for the Upstate Racing League.
This portion of the Upstate Racing League's Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series on MaxSpeedTV is brought to you by NHR, Eddie's Meat Market, Devil's Bowl Speedway, Vermont's fastest half mile, Atomic Graphics,
Welcome back to USA International Speedways. We're getting ready to go back green at the NHR 100 with the Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series presented by the Upstate Racing League. Pace car down and away, and Matt Cucker immediately on the gas, and same with Sean Cool as he gets immediately on that loud pedal trying to pressure the 88 just like they did last time we had a restart, and they are still even up through turns 2. And now Sean Cool getting a bit of an advantage off the corner, a bit of a scrape of the wall for the 88 machine. And But Watson, again, will not wanting to give up because he knows the second he gets behind the 24 car, he's going to lose a lot of ground. But unfortunately, there's nowhere for him to go. He is able to fend off that 18 machine that was trying to sneak in behind the 24, but Jake Watson is able to slot into that third position. Still side by side behind him, though, is the 20 and the 18, as well as the 30 and the 14. Actually, the 14 kind of winning out on the high side. Still not quite, though. The 30 of Will Javicki able to hold off on the inside, banging doors actually through turns 3 and 4. These guys are not wanting to give up in a single inch as we get into about 16 laps to go.
16 laps to go here from the USA International Speedway, as Matt Cucker got a great start there that last restart, and he really liked seeing Sean Cool and Jake Watson go side by side. But your battle right now is between the number 18 of AJ Hamill and the number 20 of Justin McDuff, but that's going to work out in AJ's favor as he had the inside lane, he had the more preferred line, and he got the grip down right now. Looks like Justin McDuff under fire now. Will Davicki's going to have his nose underneath him, and they're side by side. The inside lane's been working out here pretty often, and pretty much the whole race actually. You see McDuff, though, he's going to fight as hard as he can. We know he's one of those guys. He's not just going to give up. A little contact back there between the number 2 is Stefan Miranak and the 14 of Blake Neer. Stefan Miranak's going to take that spot, though. He's going to go to 7th as the fire in front of them also fizzled out. Looks like Davicki got around the number 20 there of Justin McDuff. Then it's going to be Miranak. Neer is now under fire from the 13 of Guillaume Fortin.
Yeah, Guillaume getting very close to that corner panel. The 14. Oh, a good shot to the rear end between the 13 and the 14 there is kind of Blake Neer just slamming the door shut on Guillaume there. Looked like Guillaume had a clear path to get through on the bottom side, but Blake Neer wanted to kind of stem the bleeding and just slam the door shut on Guillaume, kind of forcing him out. And just in front of them, though, Stefan Miranak now trying to make a move on the outside. He's gone from 22nd to 7th. He wants it to go from 22nd to 6th as he's continuing his charge up towards the front of this field. And we've got about 12 laps to go. I don't think he's not going to be able to make it all the way to the front, but it's definitely going to be a wild charge to save some points here tonight.
Yeah, right now Stefan Miranak's going to have to take, he's maybe a little bit of contact there between the 2 and the 20. 2 gets to the rear bumper of Justin McDuff to let him know, hey, I'm still here. I am a little bit quicker, but he's not going to have enough time to catch the guy out front because the guy out front is actually making his gap even bigger right now. Matt Cucker now a little over a half-second gap back to Sean Cool, and Sean Cool still has to worry about Jake Watson. We know Watson's quick on the long run, but how much tires does he have left in that 88 machine? Same thing that happened on that last restart. You know, Sean Cool got around the 88, so it's pretty much a replay. You see Watson deploying that strategy of staying off the bottom, entering the corner, trying to get that momentum going down the front stretch, or actually the back stretch, sorry.
That time he dove all the way to the inside. Yellow is out on the racetrack, though, as we're going to get another caution here tonight, which is a little unusual. Looks to be involving the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter. That machine is all banged up, and KR, I think you might be able to recap what happened there for us.
We're going to back this up a little bit. We see Al Smith get out of shape. That is going to cause the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter to react to that. We're going to try one more different camera angle here. Looks like Al Smith and the 70 of Dylan Canova battling through 1 and 2. Al going to bounce off the wall, gets out of shape. That is going to send Carpenter dodging him, but down beneath Carpenter was the 31 of Brad Carpenter. So the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter making contact, hard contact with that inside wall as he tried to take evasive action.
And what this does, this next caution here, is it does shake things up towards the front. We've seen Sean Cool make the pass on Jake Watson twice. And now Watson's going to have a chance to maybe reverse the roles here, but Sean Cool's always been launching with Matt. He's had some great starts, but to the outside now, it's going to be a bit more difficult for that 24 machine. So I think this is the best chance that Jake Watson has of improving this position, and really the caution was the best thing that could happen for him.
Yeah, so let's see what does happen here. Sean Cool, like you said, has gotten great restarts with Matt, but now he's going to have to start to the outside. He's not going to be right behind him, so that's going to be a little bit different. He's going to have to be watching out the left-hand side of that 24 machine to see when the 69 fires off. And then once they go down in the corner, if he doesn't leave with the 69, he's going to have to worry about the 88. The 88's been the guy that's been always stuck on the outside, and Sean Cool's been throwing his nose down there and getting around the 88. Now the roles are reversed. What's going to happen here in your top 3? Tucker hasn't really, other than there in a little bit of around the halfway point, he was under fire from the 88. Pretty much been dominant so far here tonight. He's led 93 laps. Can he finish this thing off?
I think Matt Cucker is definitely the favorite to win here, as he's probably got the best looking tires underneath that car right now, and probably going to be very difficult, even if the 24 or the 88 were to get a good launch off the start, to be able to catch the 69 machine, because there's not going to be too many laps left, as the lights are still on in the pace car, and we are on lap 95 here, so it's going to be less than 5 to go when we go back green.
Yeah, 5 to go, so that actually means with these guys bunching up, if another caution comes out, that's going to most likely end this, or I shouldn't say most likely, this will end the race. But now here's another thing. If the 69 of Tucker does get away from the number 24, Sean Cool, and that puts Sean Cool and Watson side by side, what's going to happen with the 18 of AJ Hamill? He's sitting right there in 4th spot, and Will Dravicki's also right there in 5th. All those guys are strong guys. We saw them kind of still nose to tail when we were green flag racing. Are they going to be willing to try and force the issue and try and snatch away a top 3 here yet from these guys?
Well, we know how hard it is to pass here, and now as we get lined up, the 69 is going to choose the high line. So I think that's going to allow him to get a good launch over. If he gets a good launch, he'll be able to go past this 24 machine, and that will maybe allow the 69 to go 1-2 with that 24 car.
Yeah, an interesting strategy being deployed here by the 69 of Matt. Let's see how he does get off the corner here once we go back green flag racing. We're still working down the backstretch into turn 3. Interesting strategy here deployed. Let's see how it plays out. That's going to put the 88 to the back bumper of the 24 once we go back green flag racing. There goes the 69. He got a great start. Maybe Sean Cool spun the tires a little bit because Watson is pushing that 24 down the front stretch. 69 of Tucker is way out there already.
Sean Cool's running blocker. That was the intention the entire time, was to hold up that 88 car. And the 24 wasn't in line with the 69. He didn't go the same time as the 69. So the entire intention, wrecking back in the field. Caution is out, and that's most likely going to finish the race. The 90's involved, the number of cars involved, the 34, the 41, and looks like as well the 42 of Brett Bartels, as we have a huge accident. AR, want to walk us through what just happened there?
After we saw a great getaway by the 69 of Matt Cucker, these guys watching the 22 of Mike Holtzclaw get into the outside wall. That is going to send Brett Bartels and the 41 of AJ Childs scrambling, and then all heck broke loose as they all crashed in and ran out of room, as we're going to go on board with Childs here, and you can see it all start to unfold in front of me. Holtzclaw gets into the wall, and then contact between Childs and Bartels, and also the 34 machine of Jeremy Watkins getting a little piece of that as well. Try this one more view here as we see these cars come off the corner. A little bit of miscommunication, and then heavy contact between two cars.
Well, that caution flag is going to give the win to the number 69 machine of Matt Cucker. Sean Cool giving him a little bit of a congratulatory bump there through the corners, as we're going to go around the track one last time under caution, and that's just going to further solidify the 69 machine in the standings here. That's going to be his 3rd win of the season. He's the only driver to win multiple races this season, and it's just been absolute dominance from Matt Cucker. This is going to be his out of his 6 starts, it's going to be his 3rd win, his 6th top 5 as well. So that is going to advance his lead in the regular season point standings over Justin McDuff, and kind of almost essentially lock him in to the chase.
Yeah, that's gonna give the 69 of Matt Cucker quite a points lead over the number 20 of Justin McDuff and AJ Hamill, Stefan Miranak. So pretty much dominating everything so far this year.
Well, the pace car comes by one last time. Checkered flag in the air for the number 69 machine, and Matt Cucker wins the NHR 100 at the USA International Speedway. So Some good driving from him here tonight. 100 laps in the book, all 100 led by that 69 machine. As there was some absolute dominance from flag to flag, and even before the race as well, as he had the fastest practice time, the fastest qualifying time, and probably most likely the fastest lap in the main race as well. So the 69 machine dominated all night. And when we come back, we will get to our MaxSpeedTV post-race show, but we'll take a quick step aside for the now. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the post-race NHR 100 from the USA International Speedway for the Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series presented by Upstate Racing League. We'll be right back.
The Upstate Racing League hopes you enjoyed this broadcast on MaxSpeedTV, and we thank you for your continued support.
Welcome back to the USA International Speedway, where we just finished up the NHR 100, and that was won once again by the 69 machine of Matt Cucker. And we're going to catch up with him real quick here. And Matt, another great finish from you here. You've won half the races that have been run so far, and really, do you think you just got the momentum to carry you through the rest of the season?
Yeah, I don't know. It all comes down to, I think, qualifying and then running this one groove racing with the weather that we got. It's just, don't make for good racing. And once you're out front, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're probably going to stay there the whole time.
Well, we got a few different tracks coming up on the schedule, especially in about a week's time, where we go to Lucas Oil Raceway. And you think we're going to get maybe a bit different style of racing there?
I hope so. As long as the weather's different, and if the weather is different, then you will definitely get a much different style of racing, especially because it's a bigger track. But if we don't, I mean, you'll probably see the same thing you saw tonight, which I could see in my mirror was just single one groove racing until the restarts happen, and people would get one spot here, two spots, and that's all we really had the whole race. And as a racer, it's kind of boring, and Jake and Sean can probably testify to it too. It's just no fun.
Well, it seemed like a lot of it did come down to the this kind of tire conservation, as it seemed a lot of the time you were focused on that. And was that really your strategy throughout the whole race, or?
Every week that's my whole strategy, is try to save tires till the end. And tonight, luckily at the end, we had yellows, and my tires weren't all that beat up because I was just out front riding. So, I mean, that's my strategy every week, and so far it's working out good, and we're gonna stick to it.
All right, Matt, well, before we let you go, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, and we're going to give you the floor and allow you to thank whoever you wish to thank for this race here tonight.
I got to thank Team Vincier, Turn 3 Auto Transport, Globalcom, I Analyze, as usual. I got to thank you guys for putting on this awesome broadcast every week, and Al Smith and all the guys over at Upstate for putting this league on every week.
Thank you very much, Matt, and hopefully we'll talk to you again next week.
I hope so. Thank you.
That was Matt Cucker, driver in the number 69 machine and winner of the NHR 100 at USA International Speedway. And now next up, I believe Roger will be catching up with our second place finisher.
That's right, Kelly. I have caught up with our second place finisher of Sean Cool. Sean, walk us through the evening here. You were kind of that guy that was stuck on the, I don't want to say, stuck, but you were the guy who every restart we had out here tonight started on the inside, and then that last restart, the 69 of Cucker decided to take the outside and shoved you to the inside.
Yeah, I typically get really unlucky with restart placement, and today was the opposite story. First of all, congratulations to Matt, and him and Jake were just a class of the field. Once we got 20, 25 laps into a run, I had nothing for him, really nothing at all for him. These guys were flying. And I think Matt knew that, and so on that last restart, he made a smart decision and lined himself up properly so that he could take advantage of being the leader on the restart and win himself a race. So it was good job by him, a good job by Jake, and we were just kind of able to luck into second here with that fortunate restart right at the end.
Yeah, was there any kind of strategy, any communication between you and the 69 there on that last restart that put you to the inside?
I mean, we were talking about the different scenarios that played out. I just think Matt made the right decision for himself to get out there and win the race because I wasn't going to have anything for him, and it kind of pinned Jake down underneath AJ and those guys that were, behind Matt once Matt got a jump on the start. So, and Matt was on fire on the restarts all night too. So, I think it was mostly just, Matt positioning himself to do what he needed to do to win a race, and can't fault him for that.
Yeah, he's going to come out as the winner tonight. You're going to come out second. Not a bad night for yourself, but tell us about the track. The track temp, even Matt just attested to it a little bit ago with the way the weather has been at the last couple of races, just hasn't been all that great of racing for you guys. But tonight, the track temp back up over 100 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot. It was really hot, and it was really slick on entry too. But USA is a struggle with these cars. It seems like every time we come here, really no matter when you come, it's just super tight and really, really, really hard to pass. It's one of the tracks that I would put lower on my list of the favorite tracks that we run on the schedule. So to come out with a second place finish is almost like a win for me tonight, to be honest with you. But we're all getting used to this new weather, this new dynamic weather. We've had dynamic weather sort of, but this is a realistic style of dynamic weather that iRacing's implemented with this new build. So we're all trying to figure it out and get used to it. And I think, in doing so, it made for a really difficult passing decision or difficult passing opportunity tonight.
Yeah, as you say, difficult passing. There wasn't much through the field. The only passing we pretty much saw was practically on restarts, and you were the class of that. They're starting on the inside every time and getting around the 88 of Watson. But is there anybody on that number 24 machine that you got to thank? Anybody that helps you week in and week out here get to the track and lay down these laps and put Parker in second place?
Yeah, I want to thank my sponsors, especially the Hershey Design Company. He puts a lot of effort into the things that he does, and he takes a lot of pride in being on the hood. He wasn't on the hood tonight, but he takes a lot of pride in being on the car every week. So I want to thank him. We want to thank Pink Ribbon Rider Chevrolet, Skidoo, and all the sponsors and partners that are on the car all the time. I also want to thank Al for what he does as league owner and commissioner and everything of Upstate Racing League. Regardless of weather and all that stuff, this is still one of the best, if not the best place I've ever come to run. So I can't say enough thank you to him and the admin and drivers council staff for everything that they do to keep putting these phenomenal races on. And this league is just second to none. So thank you to them and you guys up in the booth and everybody else that really puts forth a lot of effort to make this a really great place to race.
Absolutely. Sweet stuff. Thanks for coming up here to interview with us, and congratulations once again on your second place finish. But Kelly, I believe you actually came up with the guy who might have been a little bit faster than Sean Cool, just ran out of time.
Yeah, I'm caught up with Jake Watson, our third place finisher, driver of the number 88 machine. And Jake, a lot of drivers were talking about how it was just a difficult place to pass, but we always saw you kind of in a battle with Sean Cool. And what was kind of the strategy for passing here on this track?
There really wasn't much passing. I think it was a half decent race. I'm not really too fond of this hot weather. We weren't really side by side for any part of the race except for on restarts that lasted one lap. But other than that, it was a pretty good race between me, Sean, and myself. So.
Well, with the finish here tonight, I believe that will possibly slide you up into the chase standings for the time being. And as we kind of get towards the tail end of the regular season, does the focus now shift just towards maintaining your chase status?
Yeah, I just got to be really consistent with my races. I got I missed 5 flags last weekend due to issues, but you know, just gotta be very consistent throughout these last regular season races and keep moving forward.
Well, next week we will be going on to Lucas Oil Raceway to make up the race that we missed earlier on this season. And what are you expecting the racing to be like there next week?
You know, I sure hope it's good racing. I hope the weather's a little bit cooler and provides better side-by-side action for the fans.
Well, before we let you go, Jake, we're going to give you an opportunity to thank whoever you wish to thank for finishing third here tonight.
Yeah, I gotta thank everyone at Pull Down Motorsports, Clutch Graphics, Wicked Racing Chassis, and Al Smith and everyone at Upstate for putting on the show week in and week out.
Well, thank you very much for coming and talking to us, Jake, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
That was Jake Smith, driver of the number 88, and Roger, gonna give you send it to you here for basically the first half of our final finishing order there. Sorry.
Well, let's see if we can work through your finishing order here. Coming home with the win, you heard it from him. Led all 100 laps here this evening from the USA International Speedway. Matt Cucker coming home with the win. Sean Cool's going to come home second. Jake Watson third. You heard from him. AJ Hamlin going to battle all night inside your top 10, coming home away with a 4th place finish. Will DeVecchi coming home 5th. The 20 of Justin McDuff there in 6th. Stefan Miranak battling all the way from the back of the field out of the last chance qualifier, coming home in 7th. Blake Neer going to come home 8th. The 9th place finisher going to be Rex Hoyle. Number 10 finisher in the 13 going to be Guillaume Forsan. Number 70 of Dylan Canova going to come home in the 11th position. The 12 of Brian Rogers Jr. going to come home in that 12th position. 31 of Brad Carpenter coming home 13th. The guy who said he probably wasn't even going to qualify for the event, the 96 of Al Smith Jr. coming home 14th. Rounding out your top 15 going to be the number 16 of Paul Henley.
And finishing in 16th is the 02 of Josh Mayu. Danny Dubuque comes home in 17th, up 7 positions from 24th. Thomas Matier finishes in 18th. Mike Holtzclaw in 19th. Jeremy Carpenter takes home 20th. 21st goes to Jeremy Watkins, who was the Jeremy Carpenter was the last one in the lead lap. Jeremy Watkins, the first car, 1 lap down. Matt Roll finishes in 22nd. John Minyaka in 23rd. Brett Bartels finishes 24th. AJ Childs in 25th, and rounding out the 26 car field is the 11 of Brian Hacker. And so, Roger, it was a bit of an interesting race. A couple of drivers saying talking about how hard it was to pass here, and we did see how difficult it was to pass. But I think something to talk about is Steph Maranak, and we talked about him throughout the whole night. Is he kind of encountered issues in qualifying, started all the way back in 22nd after racing in through the LCQ, and ends up finishing in 7th. And that's just an insane amount of places to gain, especially at a track where it is so hard to pass.
Yeah, on a track that was hard to pass, with Stefan Miranak not able to get out there to make a qualifying attempt, going to the last chance qualifier, starting in the back of the last chance qualifier, working his way up to finish second in that to put himself into the field. So he started actually back, and I think it was the 22nd position. Yep, 22nd position. Wheeling and dealing all the way through the field. We did see a little contact between him and I believe it was the number 90 of Matt Roll to bring out one of those yellows here tonight, who didn't fly very often. But working his way inside the top 10, bringing it home 7th, that's just one heck of a feat, especially with the field like this. These guys are very strong competitors, 1 through 26 that take the grid here for the feature. And for him to be able to work his way into the top, that's just insane. It's crazy.
And that's pretty much going to do it for us here tonight at the Upstate Racing League Coach's Corner Pro Late Model Series. So on behalf of myself, Roger Muth, KR Stolfus, and everyone at MaxSpeedTV, we'd like to thank you so much for coming out and watching with us tonight, and we hope to see you again next time.
The Upstate Racing League hopes you enjoyed this broadcast on MaxSpeedTV, and we thank you for your continued support.